Hi FlossTube, this is Karen with KB Studio Creations, and I'm trying a new finishing technique and thought I'd make a tutorial. This is an idea I thought of and I want to see if it'll work, and I plan to share it with you. So the idea came about as I was working on my animal faces designs because I wanted to give a variety of finishing techniques. So for this, I had the idea to put it as a pocket on a canvas bag. And I will link below who I bought these canvas bags from and the product. I got them on Etsy. So I'm thinking to do a pocket. However, since I have never done this before, I am first going to do it with this one. This is a test stitch I did for a model. I was testing out some colors. I chose to go with different colors, though these are beautiful colors as well. They just weren't the direction I wanted to go. So I just have this test stitch and I decided to try it out with that. I may remove it from the bag afterwards because it's blue and the bag's tan, but we'll see. For now, it's gonna be on the bag. So my first step is to make sure I have it cut equal distance from this. And these are both on 14 count Aida, and I have ironed them and put iron-on interfacing just to help it be more stable. And I would recommend doing that to help keep from fraying and things like that. So my first step will be to measure and cut. I've decided that I want the pocket to be 15 squares away from the edge of the cross stitching, and then I want another 5 squares for the seam allowance. So I'm now going to count for the bottom and the other side as well as the top. So this will know I will be cutting along, so when it's 20 squares from the cross stitching, that is where I'll be counting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So right where it's fraying is where I'll be cutting on the bottom, and I will go ahead and count and cut. Now that I have it all cut out, I'm going to count down on the top the 5 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can make it bigger or smaller for your seam allowances. 5 is just what I decided for me. So I'm going to finger press along this line. You could also, do this with an iron. So there I have it finger pressed, and I am going to pin these down because I'm going to stitch this line down for the top of the pocket. And if you want, you can do another one to make it a more secure seam. I'm just going to secure it along here. So now I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew that seam down. Since recording that last segment, I decided I am actually going to do it folded over twice. I just think it'll look better and be more secure. So now I'm going to sew along that seam. Usually I would do a matching color, but I want you to be able to see where I am sewing the seam, so I am doing white, which is a contrasting color. Either works, a matching or contrasting color. And I'm just going to sew it right along the edge of this seam. So as I hope you can see, it's a little hard to see, but there is a line just right here at the bottom. And that's what it looks like on the front. Once again, why I would choose to do a matching color rather than a contrasting color. So I have put some pins in showing where it's 5 in. So I want to center it. I'm sorry you can't see the whole thing. Let me see if I can zoom up a bit. Center it on the bag. And I'm going to fold these over, and then where it's centered on the bag, where I want it placed on the bag, I'm going to pin it to the front part of the bag. You need to be careful to not pin it through the bag, through both sides of the bag, because you definitely do not want to stitch the bag together on accident. And this is going to be really thick to stitch. You could do this double seam as well, instead of just folding it over for a single seam. However, I do not want to do that because it will be a very thick stitch, especially if you're using Aida. As you can see, I'm kind of struggling with this as far as getting it on here straight, which I definitely would like it on here straight. So just take your time. Don't have to get it right the first time. You can take it out and redo the pin if it is not lining up straight. So I now have it all pinned. As you can see, it's still a little bit puckered. But I think that's partly because of the pins. So I'm just going to try to be careful as I stitch to make sure it does not get puckered. After having pinned all this, I think next time I will pin the bottom first and then the sides. I think that'll help some with this as well. So now back to the sewing machine. I'm now going to stitch it on. Once again, be careful to not stitch the back. You want to make sure you only have the front in that you're sewing, and be careful of the handle as well. And once again, I'm stitching this using a contrasting thread so you can see what I've stitched. So I'm going to start at the top and we'll see how this goes. I'm going to take out this first pin and place this under. Hopefully I don't knock you too much as I'm trying to stitch this. As you can see, that didn't work too well. Looks like my thread broke. So let's pull this out and try again. All right, let's try this again. Got it all threaded again. And this is really thick because it's a thicker fabric of the bag, and the Aida is of course thick as well. So I'm going to try to be very careful. As you can see, it's not even wanting to go through it very well. So I'm going to take a few steps forward. I'm going to lift up this. You don't usually do this, but once in a while when I'm stitching something really hard, I do lift up the foot. I'm going to put it back down, take another step forward hopefully. And now I'm going to see if I can do it with the pedal. Okay, so once I get past that, it does work. I'm going to do the back stitching now, reverse. And then once again, I'm going to have to work my way over this difficult section. And I'm just helping pull it through. You do need to be careful with that. And it looks like I've lost my thread again. So let's try this again. So it appears it did do some of the stitching, but then the top thread snapped again. So I've changed to a different bobbin. I was using on the top a bobbin of thread that I got recently that does not seem to be as good of quality as the previously purchased thread that I've previously purchased. So hopefully this one will not snap on me. I may need to move to my upholstery thread. I've never tried stitching on my machine with upholstery thread. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Like I said, this is my first time doing this. This is just an idea I had that I am trying out. So let's try it again. So since it's stitched this top part already, I'm going to move past that and start below it, which will help me with this starting point. So I stitched it and then I back stitched. So now I'm going to work my way down. So now I'm getting to the corner where it's also going to be quite difficult. I want to make sure my other, this side of the bag is not getting stuck here. But this is once again thick because it's got many layers of this Aida fabric. So let's just slowly move forward. Oh, that wasn't too bad. So now I'm going to make sure my needle is down and that I've reached the corner, and I'm going to lift the foot and I'm going to turn all of this so that I'm now going down the next seam. And I'm actually, before I do that, going to remove this pin that I have in the way because I made it going the wrong direction. And now I'm going to work on this next side, the bottom. And it was a little hard with that first part of the corner because once again it was thick fabric. I am coming up on the next corner. That wasn't too bad in that other section, but once again I'm going to make sure I don't have any of the canvas bag. So let's go to the corner. I have made it to the corner and put my needle down. I'm going to raise the foot and once again turn so that I can do this last side. Once again, it was a little hard as I worked through those multiple layers of fabric, but it seems to be working okay. And I am helping guide this through because it is thicker, and I do have like this handle getting in the way. So just try to keep it out of your way as best you can. I'm coming up on this last section where, let me see if I can show you. I have the top where it's folded over. So it's going to be really hard and really thick again. So I'm slowing down, helping it push it forward. It's kind of getting stuck, so I think I'm going to, no, it's stuck. So I'm going to reverse right here. And then I'm going to lift the foot as I walk it through these last few steps. And I'm going to reverse it one more time and then go off. So now that I've reached the end, I'm going to pull it out and cut my threads. Okay, so I have finished this first pocket. I'm actually pretty pleased with it. As you can see, I did the contrasting thread so you could see where the seams are. I could have moved a little closer to the edge. I didn't have to go in quite so far. I could have been closer to the edge, but this is fine. It still catches the seam. That would be my one thing, is this goes in 3 squares and I had a 5 square seam. So that is a little closer on the inside than I would prefer. I'd like to have a little bit more space in here. So you could either make sure you have more fabric that you fold over, or just make sure you stay on closer to the edge of the fabric. I am actually really happy how this turned out. It's a nice little pocket. And I considered taking this off after I finished this tutorial, because this was just really a test for this one, which I will do next. Maybe not today, but next. And so, let's see if I can show you this finished bag. I really like it. I think it will be just a fun little pocket to add to a tote bag. So I hope this was helpful, and I will now do the next one, well, later. So you will see it next, me doing the next tutorial, and see if I learn anything else and have any other tips for you as I stitch along. One thing I would say is, because I decided to fold this over twice, I would have liked it to have given some more fabric on the top so that it looked equal distance all the way around it. So it'd be a square around this. This would be centered in the square. But I made the decision as I was going through, so live and learn. Time for part 2. It's actually been a couple months since I stitched the first bag. So I actually went and rewatched what I had done in the first part of the tutorial. So now we're doing the frog. I've already measured and cut it out. Once again, I'm going to do it 15 from the edge of the cross stitch. I consider doing it less, but I think it'll look good still at 15. This time, instead of doing 5 past that, I'm doing 8, so a total of 23 squares. And then on the top, I made sure I left extra space to fold it over. So 15 up here to the top. And then I had about 12 squares left, so I just used those 12 squares to fold it under. I am now going to go sew this, and then I'll come back for the next step. So I have stitched that seam down, and this time I am using a matching color because I don't want it to show up. So the next step will be to pin this to the bag. Now, with this bag, I realized after I finished that it's not quite center on here. I mean, it's pretty close, but not quite. So to help me with this next one, I have put pins at approximately the center of all the sides. So I'm hoping that will help me better center it. I think I should probably put some pins in the middle of these to kind of help match me up. Once again, you've seen me pin this on once, so I'm not going to record that this time, but I will go and pin this on. Let me show you what I've done so far in my pinning efforts. So I lined up the pins on the top and the bottom. So actually before that, I folded it over and pinned it together so the seams are down. I was having a hard time just trying to do it, getting it to stay down. So I pinned those down, and then I grabbed my bag and I matched these up and I pinned them. When I tried to do just like two on a side, it got twisted a bit. So I did a top one and then a bottom one and then a top one and a bottom one, being careful to not pin through the other side. So it's just, ouch, sharp pins. So just this one side. So now I think I'm going to go through and take like this pin out and then secure it going this way. Take this pin out, secure it, and take the pins that are just on the fabric and make them secured to the bag. Also, I did decide to not line it up on the side. It just looked visually better to me to have it a little further down. So that's what I chose to do. I now have it fully pinned. I did have to re-straighten it a bit because it looks like it was just a little bit, I fixed a few sides. It didn't seem quite straight according to the bottom. And then I went through and I did the corners, so took them out from just holding the fabric to now being the fabric and the tote bag. And then after I secured the corners, I went and did these long edges. And I'm keeping the top pinned, even though I am not stitching along that, of course. So now I'm going to go and stitch along the sides. So I'm at my sewing machine. I don't know if you can see, but I have it under the sewing machine. I have the foot down. I remember last time it didn't sew very well at this first part because there's the top of the pocket, which with this Aida makes it really thick, and the top of Aida with the double sides. So I'm going to walk it forward a few steps, and it's not even moving forward. Okay, let's try to, no, it's still not moving forward, even trying, it's not moving forward even using the pedal. So I'm gonna have to probably push it through to get it to move forward. And it looks like it's gotten knotted, so I'm going to take a moment and try to figure this out. So it was quite knotted, so I am going to undo this and try again. The knot is removed and I'm set up again. I'm actually going to try starting below the top of the pocket and then go back just to see if that helps me with getting started. So I think it appears to be working. I sewed along a bit, and then I reversed all the way up to the top, and then now I'm going back down. So I actually got the back of the bag stuck for a moment, which was not good. But in getting that uncaught, I accidentally moved my fabric back. But I will try to lift this, get it back in position, and hopefully it'll be okay. So once again, be very careful about not catching the back of the bag. I've now reached the corner, and once again, it's a little thicker here, but it moved okay. I'm going to lift. I have my needle down. I'm going to lift the foot, turn it. So I'm now facing along the bottom. Put the foot back down, and now sew this next seam. And it appears I cut myself with one of these needles in a couple places. I'm gonna go put some band-aids on, and then I'll be back. Okay, have band-aids on, time to continue. So I'm noticing with this bottom, it's trying to push it out, and so I'm getting really close to the edge. So I just need to be really careful that it doesn't push me off of the fabric, because then it won't actually be sewing the pocket on. I'm also having to help feed it through some, because it keeps getting caught some on the bag. So just be really careful as you sew. I'm to the corner, so I'm going to lift the foot, turn the bag, put the foot back down, and keep sewing. It did get really hard at the end, at the top of the pocket, but I was able to get it over and reverse it along the top of the pocket. So now it's just time to remove the piece and cut the threads. And the pocket is done. As I said, I kind of got close down here at the bottom, but it never went off, so it is good. I'm really happy with how this looks. It is much better centered, I think, than the other one, even though the other one does look fine as well. I'll insert a picture of both of them just so you can see the whole bag for both of them. But it's a nice little pocket. I'm happy with it. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and if you try this, please email me a picture or tag me on social media. Down below you have, I have all of my contact information. So I hope this was helpful. I hope if you try it out, you share with me, and happy stitching and finishing. Bye.